Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my new Justice League Snyder Cut and Batman video. Zack Snyder did a live stream with a bunch of fans revealing a bunch of new, big DC movies that he has plans for. So I'll explain what's going on, the Easter eggs, and how it all fits into the timeline. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're doing a new Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know what kind of new DC movies you want Zack Snyder to work on. So just starting with the big stuff, if you didn't see it, earlier this week, Zack Snyder did a new live stream with a bunch of fans talking about some new big DC movies that he has plans for. I think it's the same fans that actually helped organize the Justice League Comic-Con event earlier this summer. The one before DC Fandome when he revealed all that new black suit Superman footage from the Justice League Snyder Cut. During that live stream, he revealed a bunch of really cool details and plans that he had for future stories, like a sequel to the Justice League Snyder Cut, full-blown sequel, coming back and doing more movies with his version of Darkseid, who's played by Ray Porter. He also explained what's going on with his version of Catwoman in the DCEU, what her story was with Ben Affleck's version of Batman during the Justice League Snyder Cut storyline. He talked about doing a new Batman movie with Ben Affleck's version of Batman that I'll explain in a second, and he even dunked on some fans that had been dunking on him in the past, not in a malicious way, just joking about the hot takes that random internet people had on his movies. One of my favorite things about Zack Snyder is his connection to the fans. He probably interacts with the fans in a much better way, in a much closer way than any other big studio movie director that you've seen in the last 5 or 6 years. There are a lot of big directors that are active on Twitter, Facebook, social, but Zack Snyder takes it a step further. You're not going to see people like Christopher Nolan going on fans' podcasts or anything like that. Like, Christopher Nolan makes amazing movies, made one of the best Batman trilogies of all time, the Dark Knight trilogy, but he's famous amongst online press for historically not giving them the time of day. So we'll talk about the Justice League Snyder Cut sequel stuff Zack Snyder explained earlier, then I'll talk about the Batman movie stuff and the Catwoman stuff. So what he said about Justice League 2 was, it's a fair question to ask me, like what do I say to the world about, what happens when Darkseid comes to Earth? Then what? Is that a thing? And I think, listen, the truth is, did I write that? Did I conceive and have a complete, do I know what happens when Darkseid comes? Yes, I know what happens. To say and to speculate about what that is and what that would be is exciting. So what Zack Snyder is saying is that he has a script for the Justice League Snyder Cut 2 movie, which is based on his original plans for what Justice League 2 would have been had the studio not canceled the movie a couple years ago. As he says, it would have been mostly about what happens when Darkseid comes to Earth finally. There is Darkseid in the Justice League Snyder Cut, a bunch of new Darkseid coming back in, but not nearly as much Darkseid as you would have gotten in the Justice League sequel. We do know a lot about how the story of that sequel would have played out, though, with the character arcs for Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg, Aquaman, the rest are, because he told us a couple of years ago, back when no one thought that we'd ever have a chance to see it, way before the Snyder Cut ever became a thing. There are some minor changes that would have to be made to that just because of the new stuff that he's now adding back in with the additional photography for the Justice League Snyder Cut, but the sequel is kind of a time travel movie using the Flash. The movie starts out in the original timeline, we'll call that the Batman Nightmare timeline. You see some of that in the Justice League Snyder Cut trailer from earlier this year. This scene here, panning across the rubble and the artifacts in the Hall of Justice and the Omega symbol burned into the ground. In that timeline, Darkseid came to Earth and was able to defeat the Justice League pretty handily by taking Superman out of the equation before he became a threat. In order to do that, Darkseid wound up killing Lois Lane and is then able to enslave Superman using the anti-life equation. That's right, he was totally going to do the anti-life equation in the sequels. That's how you get to the evil-looking Superman and the parademons all wearing his symbol on their armor. Most of the Justice League and the rest of Earth's heroes are killed. Batman eventually dies too. Only Flash, Cyborg, maybe some Green Lanterns wind up surviving and using Cyborg's Mother Box tech to make the calculations necessary to help Flash time travel back in time to warn Batman. That pays off the scene from Batman v Superman where he warns him to save Lois Lane. Save Lois, she's the key. That starts the new timeline where they're able to prevent Superman from succumbing to the anti-life equation, and the Justice League is able to team up with Hal Jordan Green Lantern and the Green Lantern Corps, defeating Darkseid. They kind of did a version of that during the Justice League Apocalypse War movie, where Darkseid spanks the Justice League pretty easily, enslaves most of Earth's population, turning it into a glorified mining colony, and then the Flash has to pull another Flashpoint to prevent it from ever coming to pass. In the animated movies, that was meant to bring things back around to the original Justice League Flashpoint movie, like here we go again. Obviously, they haven't done Flashpoint in the DCEU live-action movies yet, but that is part of the inspiration for the upcoming Flash movie with both Ben Affleck's Batman and Michael Keaton's Batman. Zack Snyder isn't really involved with that beyond maybe getting a producer credit, like he has a producer credit on Wonder Woman 1984 because of his earlier contract for the DCEU movies, but I don't think he actually had any creative input for Wonder Woman 1984. It's just that they're continuing in those movies with characters that he established, so I think that's why he gets a producer credit. But the version of Flashpoint that they're doing for the Flash movie will be different from the comics. They're also doing the multiverse story to help connect all the new movies that are coming up with the old movies that have come before, even the super deep cut movies like the Christopher Reeves Superman films. That's how you get to your Michael Keaton Batman from the Tim Burton movies. But talking about more Batman stuff with Ben Affleck, the other new movie Zack Snyder revealed that he's trying to have made is a full-blown Batman Dark Knight Returns movie. Live-action movie, that is. So it will be something that happens within the DCEU that's connected to all the other movies. The way we found out about this was when Zack Snyder was reacting to other fans' old comments calling Batman v Superman a Dark Knight Returns movie. Because even though the plot is very different, part of that movie was inspired by the story of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns comic book. If you've never seen it, they released 2 animated Dark Knight Returns movies. They broke the story into 2 parts, so it's like a 3-hour total movie altogether. But the animated movie is basically them just doing the comic book story. If you've never read that story, it's sort of like an alternate timeline version of Gotham set during 1986. But in that retro future, it's a very old version of Batman who comes out of retirement to fight opposing forces in the Gotham City Police Department, the US government, and then fights Superman himself, who's kind of turned into a puppet for the president. So it's sort of like Batman versus the system, so to speak, trying to tear down the system of oppression in the country. The similarities to Batman v Superman are in that during The Dark Knight Returns, just like Ben Affleck's Batman during Batman v Superman, he gave up being Batman after Jason Todd's death 10 years prior. And once Batman gave up being Batman, crime exploded overnight, runs rampant all over Gotham City. But eventually, just like Ben Affleck's Batman, Dark Knight Returns Batman is reminded of why he became Batman and donned the cape and cowl in the first place. That inspires him to take the mantle back up, and then he sets about cleaning up Gotham City, going around. But he's super hardcore, he starts killing a bunch of criminals, so the president orders Superman to basically arrest Batman, and that's what sets off the Batman versus Superman of it all. Zack Snyder didn't say how close he was to getting a live-action Dark Knight Returns movie made, but if that ever happens, of course I'll make videos for it. It would be huge. I think right now it's just a never say never situation, like it could happen in the future, and I think a lot of it just depends on how things proceed with the next couple of DC movies and how the Justice League Snyder Cut performs. But think about it this way, if we're talking about an old man version of Ben Affleck's Batman, think about what's happening with Michael Keaton's Batman right now. Like the Batman Beyond version of Michael Keaton's Batman, really old, coming back. They could totally do that in another 10 years with Ben Affleck's Batman if he's down for it. And number one, probably one of the biggest things, talking about his version of Catwoman and what her story was in the DCEU. So obviously we have the new Robert Pattinson Batman movies, we have the new Zoe Kravitz version of Catwoman, but that's meant to be something separate in its own little bubble of continuity. Zack Snyder explained who Ben Affleck's version of Catwoman was. He revealed it was Carla Gugino. His quote was, "Probably I would say Carla's Catwoman is perfect. You would have to say there's a flashback to 10 years ago where they were a thing. Then he had to arrest her, I don't know what happened, or he had to let her go and it tweaked him, and now, who knows what she's doing now, she's running around in some sort of international antiquities or something, and he needs to retire and they find each other." So that's him basically saying that Ben Affleck's Batman after the events of Justice League, he's getting older, Catwoman has been locked up in Arkham this whole time through the DC movies that we've seen Ben Affleck in, and eventually they find each other again and their romance rekindles. But there's no confirmation that he added any Catwoman scenes to the Snyder Cut because he's filming all these new scenes. He is adding all this Joker stuff with Jared Leto's version of the Joker, and we think that that's flashbacks for the scenes of Robin dying. But everyone let me know in the comments, which would you rather see, Zack Snyder do a new version of Justice League 2, or would you rather see him do a Batman Dark Knight Returns movie with Ben Affleck someday? My next big video will be for The Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 3 that'll post Friday. As long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you should see that when I post it. While you wait for everything, speaking of Justice League reunions, click here for my Witcher Season 2 teaser trailer video and to learn about Jason Momoa joining Henry Cavill in the Witcher universe, and click here for my full Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 2 video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, I'll see you guys tonight.